Ohio State got some news yesterday. CJ Stroud said, "Thank you so much, Ohio State. I'm going to take my talents to the professional ranks." And nobody can blame him. There was a lot of smoke for a little bit there about could he come back for one more year? Could they make the NIL attractive enough for him to come back to Columbus for just one more go around, win a national title? Could we get that done? Listen, the NFL, the money is very good. You know that. I know that. CJ Stroud knows that, and will know that firsthand here in the very near future. I think everyone in Columbus wishes him well. But then your sights turn to the current quarterback room at Columbus, the current quarterback room at Ohio State. And for all of the talk around how great CJ Stroud is and was for Ohio State, I'll just say this. You have two cats in Kyle McCord and Devin Brown who have a combined total of 10 stars to their names combined, I suppose. Bottom line, you got talent in the room. Who's going to be the quarterback at the end of the season? Who's going to be the quarterback day one is really what we want to talk about. The timeline for this, the expected timeline for this, in my mind, is somewhere around fall camp. And that's not so much to just keep depth. Maybe that's a part of it. Probably doesn't hurt that you bolster depth if you keep both guys in your roster through fall camp. But if we're using history as our teacher, Justin Fields was the obvious answer to be quarterback one for Ohio State in 2019. Like, it was a foregone conclusion. Transfer from Georgia. He's going to be your guy. He's going to start game one. Everybody knows that. Even in the locker room, I'd venture to say people knew that. However, didn't name him the starter until August, until fall camp. Ryan Day kind of lets this thing run. 2021, CJ Stroud, it's his job. We would all be wildly surprised if he does not get named the starter in 2021. Ryan Day waits it out. Wants to see him finish through the line, so to speak, metaphorically, for Ohio State and into fall camp. Doesn't name the starter to fall camp. So what I'm telling you is it may not just be totally a depth play. It might be a thing where you want to see both of these guys push each other, push their teammates, and push the competitive needle forward throughout fall camp. Even if it feels obvious to somebody at some point in time, I don't think we'll get a real answer as to who's going to be the starting quarterback until fall camp. Think about it this way. If you're blindfolded running a race and you have no idea where you stand in that race, you are going to run hard the entirety of that race. That's just the reality. And same thing for the guy next to you. If he's blindfolded, he's running as hard as he can forward because he can't afford to take his foot off the gas. He can't afford to stop for a second or maybe jog it out through the line. You're going to get the best out of each other. And I think that's the strategy here. If you're not subscribed, would love to have you. Got a lot of content coming for you. College football is a 365-day-a-year sport. We're grateful that we get to have this show with y'all because of that. We don't take breaks. So make sure you're locked in. Make sure you're subscribed. We got a lot of content coming for you, like I already mentioned. Also, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, @JDPikel. Stay up with everything we're doing here. We appreciate y'all. Let's break down these quarterbacks' game a little bit. You got Devin Brown from the 2022 class, #1 player overall per Charles Power, our director of scouting and rankings at On3. 97 overall grade, #5 quarterback in the class, 6'2", 196. You got Kyle McCord, 97.08. So if you want to be stingy there, you can say, well, Kyle McCord's .08 better. Bottom line, both really good quarterbacks. He's a top 5 quarterback as well in the class. A little bit bigger, 6'3", 215. Some of that could be attributed to the fact that he's been in a college weight room longer, as he's class of 2021. When you watch Kyle McCord, sample size is pretty small. He's got 1 start under his belt, lit it up in that 1 start. Talking to people close to that program, the word that keeps coming up is gunslinger. And that's not a negative thing. People say gunslinger and they associate it with interceptions and being irresponsible with the football. I don't know if that's Kyle McCord. I don't think it is, but that wasn't the way they used it to describe him. His first pass in front of the public eye, so to speak, was a 60-yard bomb in the spring game to Garrett Wilson. He's going to push the ball. He's going to push the needle vertical for Ohio State. And with all of the weapons they have in this offense, that might not be such a bad thing. You have basically all of your receivers coming back. I say basically because Jackson Smith and Jigba, unfortunately, wasn't really active throughout the course of the year. You're going to have a guy that's wanting to capitalize on all of the talent they have on the outside. So that's Kyle McCord. Devin Brown, here's the reality. There's no sample size on him. Haven't seen much of him. We're going to watch him really closely this spring. What we do know is true is he has immense talent. Charles Power, like I already said, had him as the #1 player in the entire class of 2022. That is a very prestigious honor. I'll just say this, Charles Power, best in the game. When it comes to scouting, when it comes to rankings, he is the best in the game. Both these guys were #5 consensus quarterbacks in their class across all the services, but Charles Power, again, someone I trust with my life, had Devin Brown as the #1 player in the entire class. Really was impressed by how live his arm is at the high school level. A guy who can make all the throws, a guy who is not going to lack for ability. Extremely, extremely talented player is Devin Brown. So I'm excited to watch his spring game. I think that will be very, very intriguing, as I'm sure the rest of you are intrigued by that as well. What does Ohio State need from these guys? Whether it's Kyle McCord under center, whether it's Devin Brown in shotgun, who do they need? What do they need to get to where they want to go? Because remember, the standard hasn't changed. There's no, you lost to Michigan twice, that's okay, we'll figure it out. It's no, we beat Michigan around here. Okay, that's the standard. We win national titles around here. That's the standard. It's a high standard, but if you didn't want to live up to it, you wouldn't come to Ohio State. You wouldn't come be a Buckeye. You know what you signed up for. What do they need to reach that standard? Like I said, just about every weapon's coming back. Outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba, you're going to have Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Trevion Henderson, Mayan Williams, Chip Trayanum. You're going to have some guys. So, as a whole, the Ohio State offense is a Ferrari. You let a Ferrari rev the engine. You let that thing go 110 miles down the highway, wear your seatbelt. You don't go throwing interceptions. You don't go being careless with the football, but you're going to let that thing run. You're going to let that thing go. So you need someone who's going to be able to manage that Ferrari. Is it going to be too much horsepower? Is it going to be something that overwhelms you? Because at that exact same time, with all the weapons you have coming back, you lose a little bit on the offensive line. Both your tackles will be gone to the NFL. So I think experience here does play a factor. And for that reason, got to know what you're looking at. Got to be comfortable in the system, got to be comfortable going through your progressions. Kyle McCord, to me, if the season started tomorrow, would get the keys to the offense. Most experienced in the system by a year, still a very long time, honestly, in terms of developing digesting a college playbook. Also, in talking to the people close to Ohio State, he was one of the leaders of this 2021 recruiting class. That means something. How you handle yourself, how your teammates view you, that means a lot, especially at the quarterback position. So from the experience to the leadership, probably doesn't hurt that he was also Marvin Harrison Jr.'s high school quarterback. There's some chemistry there with your most explosive weapon. I think it's Kyle McCord's job to lose, is what it sounds like, but they're going to let these guys battle in the spring now. Do not be surprised at all if we have a conversation here in the very near future on a live show in sometime in the spring post-Ohio State, and we're saying, man, it was only a spring game. You see Devin Brown light it up. Bottom line, 2 5-star players. No bad options at Ohio State. Like I said, it's a luxurious question mark if you're a Buckeye fan. To me today, I'd pick Kyle McCord. They're going to let these guys get after it. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.